we're going to upgrade all the bots that I've got on the test server available for level 11 upgrade. So we're going to run through them and discuss whether they're worth upgrading or not. So, I mean, you could look at this technically and say that all of them are worth upgrading because they just improve them. But with the cost of it being, so expensive and the obviously availability of the B.B.E items being really scarce, we've got to use our resources carefully on these. And so I think that a lot of the focus needs to be on choosing specifically certain combats. So, gonna kick this off with Kunai first on the list. So, sorry, the damage that the bots do that go under the Kunai healing go up from 25 to 28. It's only a 3% increase. It's not a massive increase. And then also the healing goes from 15 to 18%. I'm not too impressed with this. Not for a million spark and a B.B.E item. I would rather have seen, rather than the healing boost, and I always talk about this, I mean, every single aspect of it increased. So the 30% heal being 40% even as well. So for 3% for a million spark and a B.B.E, I don't think it's really worthwhile. For Rung, you can see there that goes up by 9% protection, and the zone heal goes up by 12%. It's a lot more percentage. It's pretty much every aspect of the combat. So I think Rung gets a seal of approval and be a really one to upgrade. Bashbreaker, it just increased the damage of the bot. And that's a bit disappointing, really, that it just increases the bot's DPS. The acid projectile should deal maybe 75% of the bot's DPS. Maybe it should negate healing for longer. Maybe rather than every 10 seconds, they could have changed that. There's a lot more things they could probably have done with this. And I feel like it's been really lazy in some respects, where they just pick things out. And you could argue that some of the stronger ones have less of an upgrade, and some of the worse ones have a better upgrade. But I don't really think that's the case, because as you'll see later, there's some really, really good ones that have got really, really good upgrades as well, like we just saw with Rung a minute ago. So I'm not sold on Bashbreaker. The 41% increase is only 9%. Interax, so you got the health boost, so a 35% increase in health. Again, you're talking about, say it's a 40k health bot, 10% of that is 4k health. 3% of that is like 1k. You're not going to notice much difference. So for that healing boost, forget it. It's gone. And then the health of Interax himself once the bot dies. So I always say that when I do this, I don't bank on my bots dying. So all this after death effect, I'm not sold at all. But the health boost, 3%, is really crap. This is one of the worst ones I think I've seen so far. Definitely won't be upgrading Interax anytime soon. If it granted additional healing, if it was for, the elemental damage, maybe that'd be a lot. But I think the additional healing would have been better with more health. Maybe it should have been 40% rather than 32 to 35. But even then, 40% is not that much. Interax on his own is really, really good. Don't get me wrong. Some of these combats are still good, and Interax is on his A tier, really, really good. What I'm saying is, though, the upgrade to 11 is maybe not worthwhile. Toxodon, again, just a 3% life drain. It's just a bit of healing. It's not worth it. And again, sort of a combat that's on the fringe is not bad, is not amazing, is quite average, but it can be a bit of a use. But 3% upgrade is definitely not worth the spark of 1 million in the B.B.E. Windstrike, again, 15% increase in damage, so a bit more of an increase. 65% is quite a lot, but again, 15 seconds, 100% DPS. I'm not really sold on Windstrike as a combat, and this has not changed my mind at all. Air Razor is not available because most minion combats have been excluded. Not too sure why. Big Daddy, obviously minion combat, so the same. Dial has been available with minion combat, so it's a bit strange that some minion combats are not available, but Dial is. But again, health increase, that was pretty awful. That was probably one of the worst, if not the worst combat in the game. And to just give him a 2,000 increase in health and a bit of DPS, it's pretty woeful. This has not changed my opinion of Dial at all. The worst combat in the game, and one of the worst upgrades, well, standard upgrade for some of them. Sandtrack and Growl. So again, just the health increase and the DPS increase. Again, I would like to have seen this around the immunity. Rather than the 10-7 immunity with 4 times DPS, give it 6 times DPS or 5 times DPS. Give it a lot more. Stripes not available. Trip up not available. Zord. So Zord again, just a health and DPS increase. The DPS, I do believe that goes into Zord's orbital strike because that's 400% of his damage, and that will go up to 22k. It's goes up by an extra 2,000, roughly 3,000 damage. So I think Zord's pretty good. The health increase is pretty good because that's what it really depends on. And not just the DPS, that's alright, but the big one is that it affects his orbital strike, if I understand it correctly. So, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with Zord. I think Zord's a solid upgrade if you use him. I do like Flak upgrade, although it's very basic. His upgrade is generally basic, regardless as a combat. It just gives your bot a spread. But you've got to think that he's each dealing 39 or 40%, let's round it up to 40%, of the bot's DPS value. So that obviously goes up to 47%. But each dealing 47%. So it's an extra 47% across the board. So although it's not going to equal this, you would argue the fact that 7% and 7% and 7% and 7% and 7%, 5 times, it's quite a lot more damage for Flak. So I think Flak's upgrade will be pretty good, but only because it just covers all aspects of Flak. But then Flak's only got one aspect, which is shooting 5 rockets, dealing more DPS. So very easy upgrade, really. In terms of glitch, again, could have done a lot more. This increased the critical chance. It just sort of says to me that they've been really cautious of upgrading glitch because they realise it's a really good combat. And so instead of increasing 2 times more damage or the 25% damage from all sources for 5 seconds, they're just going with the critical chance. But if you said to me, what's the critical chance of glitch, I'd have said around 40-50% before this without knowing. And now when you say what's critical chance, you go, oh, about 50%. So 12% increase is not a massive increase when it's a chance and not even a guarantee. So you've got a chance of him doing more damage. Then we've got Nightstick. This is probably the bot that everyone should go and upgrade instantly in a heartbeat. Probably the best combat in the game. In fact, no, change that. The best combat in the game, hands down. Coupled with one of the better upgrades. And it's one of the better upgrades because there's 2 things this bot does well. 1, it increases the damage of your bot at range, which is good. And 2, it heals the bot as well. And this is literally, that's the only 2 real aspects of this bot, as well as the acid. Now the acid is obviously flat, it just stops healing. It doesn't increase the DPS of the bot in any way. So the acid was always going to stay the same, but they've increased the damage and they've increased the life drain as well. So very, very good bot. They could maybe increase the acid damage, but I think it's enough. I think that probably, if anything, they've given too good an upgrade to the best combat in the game. They've probably gone too far. And that's what worries me, that I'm sort of sat here going, hit this as soon as you get the B.B.E. #1 priority. I would even go as far as upgrading the 5-star and the 4-star version of this, maybe even the 3-star, and using a B.B.E. definitely on the 5 and 4-star. If I get 2 B.B.Es, I think both of them will go on the 5-star and 4-star Nightstick. Which is a bit of a shame that we're upgrading 4 stars before 5 stars. Pinpointer, again, similar to the previous combat, where not only are we increasing damage, but we're increasing healing as well. Only 10% and a 9% increase, where it's a bit weird if we can play, obviously, compared to Nightstick, it's 30% and 9%. So I'm not too sure why they didn't give 30% to Pinpointer. Bit of a strange one. But very, very good upgrade to Pinpointer. Top Shot, not available currently. I imagine all these will come later on in the year. Jazz. Blocks 23% of damage. 3%. It's not that much. 3%. Not really worthwhile. If a defense does 500 DPS and you're blocking 3%, you're blocking 15 damage. Instead of 500 DPS, it's doing 485 DPS. You're not even going to hardly notice. So, not a very good upgrade. Shield Drons gives a health boost to the Hollow, then it drops from 32 to 41%, so it lasts a bit longer. Then the protection it gives is 25 to 33%. So I like the protection. Yeah, blocks a lot more damage. The health boost of the Hollow means it lasts a bit longer. So yeah, I don't mind this upgrade. It's a good combat. It's a good upgrade. I think there's a few other ones that I would do before this, but I still think it's a good enough upgrade that's probably worth chasing and doing. Lionizer not available. Sawtooth not available. So then I'm going to look at a few 4 stars that I have upgraded because I don't have the 5-star version. Then we got Rattrop. So again, this just increases health and DPS. I would rather it have also done the hack immunity aura explodes every 3 seconds. I would have just done it constantly, and just done more DPS. Done like 150 of the box DPS. Again, I don't think Rattrop is one of those combats you look at and go, oh, it's massively OP, but has a use. This could have been a chance to really make him relevant, I think, and a bit more desirable. There's some of those combats I feel like are on the cusp of being good, but not quite. And this could have been a good opportunity to make some of these come really back into the meta, some of these Fringe ones. Fire Drive, simply just a damage boost. I think that's really lazy, really. They could have easily made the Flames do 150 of the box DPS, and it wouldn't be crazy. Honestly, the 8 times more damage to walls could have increased it. Fire Drive is considered one of the worst combats in the game because they can't shoot over walls, make your bots walk around them. And this could have been a really, really good opportunity to make this combat really, really good. And they decided just to give it a 6% increase. I don't know. I just think there's better combats out there, better upgrades out there. And it's really this kind of old content that's not relevant and they've missed the chance. Then we got Sound Barrier. So Sound Barrier protection goes from 20 to 23%. So a 3% reduction is pretty much nothing. But then every 15 seconds, shields nearby allies for 29% of damage for 4 seconds. So I don't think it's got a shield run. I don't think Sound Barrier has got a shield run either. But, you know, I think this percentage will be more as the 5-star goes up, but it'll still be quite similar to shield run in that sense. But for a worse combat than shield run, I would rather go for shield run. And even then, I said that shield run was good, but not a massive priority. Sound Barrier is obviously a lot lower down that list. Smashdown's not available. Nightstalker not available. Top Heavy not available. Spoil Sport not available. Strike not available. Top Shot not available. Trench Fort not available yet. Dazzle Strike not available yet. Lion's Eyes are not available yet. Red Heat not available yet. So ignore these numbers, guys. Like I said, these will come with time. Buzz Strike, simple damage boost. Again, quite similar to Bashbreaker in that sense. It's just a damage boost. So yeah, although percentages will change, this is a 3-star. That's all I have. Apologies. I just think that I imagine it'd be 9%, but 9% increase in DPS is a bit lazier. Could have done a lot more. So the Victory Leo, it increases health. Just again, just a health increase. And I think this could have been a lot more. I imagine it as a 5-star to be a lot higher, and a lot higher percentage wise. But still, you're probably looking at like maybe a 10%, 8% increase in HP at a higher level. And I just think that it could have done a lot more with this again. Again, one of those sort of fringe bots, Fringe combat. Very good combat, don't get me wrong, 4-star save, but it's a Fringe bot. And I could have done a lot more than this. And I just feel like overall, there's a lot of combats here that needed the upgrade, and a lot of combats that didn't. And we've got both combats that don't need the upgrade that have got it, bots and combats that need the upgrade that haven't. And I think there's a bit of a sort of a mix up there in terms of priorities. I just feel like everyone's going to go to the main 5 that's I just mentioned and go, these need doing. And I feel like this B.B.E upgrade could have been dragged out for the next year, bringing out 5 bots or 5 combats, sorry, bringing out 5 combats at a time. And bringing out some decent upgrades for them and some for old content and keep doing a batch by batch rather than just going Here's 10 that we picked that I think a lot of players will like. Go at that, and then we'll bring out some more later on, and we're going to bring out a lot of combats that people don't really use. Maybe we should have prioritised the combats on the worse ones, brought them out first, give them a really good upgrade, worthy of all that spark, and not just the million spark for the 5-star from 10 to 11, but the 1.5 million, 2 million spark it takes to get them from 1 to 10. So you've got to ask yourself, is this worth 3 million spark if you were to get this combat brand new for a new player? Definitely not. And so I think that's a massive trick, massive mistake, missed by Spacey. But let me know in the chat, is there any of these that you think, when you get a B.B.E, you are going to upgrade it? Is it literally just Nightstick, Shield Dron, Rung, which everyone kind of runs in their war teams anyway? Or is there some little gems out there where you think, I'm going to do that for this reason because I think that will really help me use this bot in some way in my wars? Let me know in the comments.